Strokes. I am your host and stroke survivor, Jerry Wall. And for those of you that are new here, the reason I started doing this show is to bring awareness to stroke, TBI, aphasia, mental health, brain injury, and other disabilities. And I also wanted to provide a platform, something in my eye here, to provide a platform for all survivors with all kinds of disabilities to share their stories from all across the world, and also to bring on experts in brain health to share their knowledge with all of us so we can learn. So anyway, this morning's guest is Elizabeth Swecker, and not only is she a stroke survivor, but a cancer survivor. And so you guys, please ask questions, make comments, and also if you haven't done that yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and get started, everyone. All right, good morning, Salud. Nice to see you. Let's go ahead and bring on Elizabeth.
Hi, Salud.
There she is. She's the first one here.
She's who I found.
Yeah, exactly.
While in bed.
Yeah, exactly. So she's still, a lot of people just, they are watching this show. Mike, good morning. There's a lot of, this show is live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, which if you're not,
we heard about that yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So, how you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm having a good morning. Good. I'm glad to be here.
And you're 100% cancer free.
I am 100% cancer free. My 1 year appointment was last month, and I have my pathologist says a 0.10% chance of it returning. So
wow.
It was removed. But
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So so what we could do is let's just start with let's rewind the clock and say,
sure,
who was Elizabeth? I'm having a tough morning talking.
I have that every day. I've had a really fortunate life. I have great friends. I grew up in Charleston or Elkview, West Virginia, and I moved to Washington, D.C. when I was 18. My parents were divorced, and I was a professional. I answered an ad in a paper and ended up with a great training and finance job in the auto industry, and then that led to a marketing job by a customer in the IT field, telecom world, and at its height. And it hit the boom. I retired and, kind of moved to my little farmette with my animals. And I started a company that worked with therapy pets, with wounded warriors and people with PTSD and anxiety, which I had before the stroke. And, I was living a normal life, for what is normal, I guess, for anyone. And went to my mother's 87th birthday. I think I've written 88th and it typed 80, but her 87th birthday. And that night I had my stroke.
Great. So do you know what caused it?
From what they've told me, I really have not had any illnesses. I really haven't had, I don't even have my tonsils out. So, other than elective surgery, there really wasn't much history to me. And they said that it was basically stress and the fact that I was eating incorrectly, and it was probably a lot of soda, a lot of chips, because I was always on the go or at the desk. And but it was misdiagnosed for 11 hours. They were pumping me full of Adivan.
Yeah, I know. What I read, it's kind of crazy. So how long did it? So they found out that you had a stroke when they drove you, or your husband?
No, my husband wasn't there. unfortunately, I would have been given the shot. They told me the shot would have saved me from the stroke. I went out to my mom's front porch. My brother walked out. I said I didn't feel well. He went back in, and I called 911, and the ambulance took me to a hospital in Charleston, West Virginia. And I kept telling them this was not an anxiety attack. It was not a panic attack. This was far numb. My speech was slurred. I don't know what my face looked like because I could. And they said, "Oh, we'll just give you Adivan," and they gave it out. At 3:30 about in the morning, they woke me back up and gave me another dose of it, and I couldn't even sign my discharge papers. So they said, just put an X, and I had to leave because Charleston, West Virginia has a large opioid, and they were bringing people in off the streets at that time, and they needed a room.
Wow.
And so they wheeled me out into the waiting room. I couldn't walk. I could hardly talk. I said to my brother, take me home. And home was 5.5 hours, almost. So I made it home, and my husband had an ambulance at our home waiting for me. They had to pull me out of the car, and that's when they took me to the trauma unit and saved my life. Yeah, sorry, I get emotional.
Absolutely. So that no, it is emotional. I mean, like me driving. Real quick, if you look to your right, do you see all the comments? Do you see all the comments?
I don't. I can see them, but I need my readers, so I should put those on. I do see them. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Salute. Thanks, Lynn, Carolyn. Salute. Salute's been my coach. Yeah. She and Tom, when I watched what she was doing with him, it just brought me so much hope and so much courage. And then, Paul, it was kind of like a systematic, while I was in bed, not being able to move or talk.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And I know about the emotional part of it. It is very emotional. I was pretty good before the stroke, and after, oh my gosh. I mean, I cry at anything.
That's what I do. They say you either laugh or cry. And I said, well, better cry than be in church and laugh during prayer. So, I'll take it. But, I chose I was in ICU for about a week, and they asked me, do you want to go home, COVID, or do you want to go into a rehabilitation center? And I chose rehabilitation, which was 80% COVID at that time they were treating.
Yeah.
So I was locked in a room for about 22 of the 24 hours for a little over 2 months.
It is crazy. I mean, your stroke was during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. At the height, I had gone nowhere. I was my husband's keeper. I was going to the grocery store. I was doing everything. He's diabetic. And so we didn't want to get him sick. And here I'm, my mother, I didn't want her to be alone on her birthday. And she had not gone anywhere. And so, at the height of COVID, and my window, my luck, also was the ambulance entrance. Wow. So I got to see it leaving. And the nurses, boy, did they work hard. They had to treat us all, our stroke patients and COVID patients, and change clothes. And it was tough mentally. It was tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Stroke is not for the weak. And then COVID on top of it. Did you ever get COVID?
No, never got it. And they tried to hug me. I was like, stay away. They tried, oh, here, let's do this. I had a PT there that was just excellent. I've followed her. She's been a great part of my journey and my story. And, you're not supposed to keep in touch with them, but we found ways. And, she actually dealt with anxiety, and she had a parent who had a stroke, and she said, you're going to make it. I'm going to make sure you make it. And, of course, the first thing they ask you when you walk in is what percentage you would like to heal. and they write it on a board, and
Wow.
they said, I said 100%, and they said, well, you shouldn't expect 100%. And I couldn't talk, and I was like, what do they expect me to say? 40%? Like, I'm shooting for 100. If I get 40, I'll
Absolutely.
take it, but I want to be 100%. So I was often called spicy when I was in the therapy, but it worked out for me. They've asked me to speak and things, and
Oh,
so
and that's good for you because
yeah,
I
it
do that
is.
currently, and it does help when you get it off your chest, and because it's very emotional going through this, and
It is
yeah, but
the journey.
so yeah, it's a big journey. So when was your stroke? I don't think we
It was I always say it
ischemic.
wrong. This is my aphasia coming out. I skim ischemic stroke to the left brain, which paralyzed my right side. I could not speak. My face was totally, you saw the picture. It was totally drooped. Um, I, the first word I said was sandwich, and they said it sounded something like a dialect of Philadelphia, like South Philly plus, Georgia. They
Yeah.
said, "Whoa, we've never heard that dialect before." And but that was my first word. She said, "Say
Wow.
sandwich," and I went sandwich, just screamed it, and then I started talking, and I used my phone a lot because I have great friends, and they've been great family. I have a wonderful husband, but my
Absolutely.
brother travels, and my mother is really not capable of being in touch. But I would talk into my phone instead of
Yeah.
type, and my words started coming back.
Yeah.
I mean,
You,
some crazy stuff was said, obviously. That the
yeah.
Siri
You
didn't
sound great.
understand. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tip of, I love looking at these
I'm
comments too.
sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. And Katie from London, nice to see you.
Yes, Katie, George, Gail, Mike. Thank you all. I felt lost for a really long time, and this is a big deal for me to kind of step up. So thank you.
Absolutely, it's great to share your story because I always say if we can help one person, that then we did our job because a lot of people are going through, as you know.
Well,
y-
yeah, it's
Yes,
I was there, when I was in the bed, Tom and Salute, they're the ones that I found. I saw my case manager, express, get online, get on YouTube, see what you can find. And there was a lot of
right,
negativity, and I didn't want that in my life.
mm,
So I was looking for
right,
positive. And then I think I shared yesterday with you, Don Odin,
yes,
his
yes,
video that just touched my heart because nobody was there to record me. I couldn't see anybody because of COVID. And
right,
so, my husband came to the window every night like you saw on TV, and there was no history to show my friends what I went through.
right,
And when I saw his video was my story, and I wrote it, and then at 2:30 in the morning, I get the kindest email ever, saying, you're the one out of the 10,000 that needed to see this. God bless you.
yes,
And that changed the game for me.
yeah. I'm glad you connected with him. Don Ogan there is just a wonderful man, and his kids are. I never had that either as far as the because they did a good job recording everything, from day one to what he's doing now.
Yeah, he said his daughter Delaney did it, and I mean that could be on every YouTube channel everywhere. It's a tearjerker, but it also is motivation to get better, and
Yeah,
be positive about the journey instead of negative.
exactly. Yeah, you keep yourself busy. I mean, that's the I always try to do now. Now that no excuses. So you're going to therapy now, or you have an in-home
Um,
therapy, or
I've had in-home therapy. I've had out. Obviously, when I came home, we had private therapy come in. bought a lot of equipment, as you know. There's more to that equipment. We purchased a swim spa, everything that I could do to move, and that's really helped. But a lot of our here in the DC area, a lot of our therapies are closed. And a lot of the therapists are being contracted to go to COVID patients still to this day. And so luckily, one of my clients told me about a therapist. It's a mile from my home. And I start my new therapy on Monday. I'm excited because I am walking. I'm walking without a cane, without a brace, without a walker. I can't run the marathon or, Target. I can't do Target alone. It's what I tell people. But, I'm blessed. I'm just blessed. And so I just need to, do more.
Yeah, exactly. Can't get enough of it. So what other,
Right.
but you're cancer free.
I am cancer free. Oh, that was stroke therapy at the hospital, at the Encompass, the recovery rehab. And I don't mean to be gory for anyone, so I apologize, but I kept bleeding. And I kept saying, something's wrong. And they kept saying, no, it's your body. You had a stroke. It's the blood thinners. I kept saying no. And then we found, at home, it just wouldn't stop. I couldn't stop bleeding. And so my first doctor, primary care doctor, which I have to admit I didn't have one. I just kind of went to the doctor when needed. I told her, it's just your blood thinners. Don't worry about it. And they give me something for my cough in the morning, the Pantrazol or something. And she said, that can make you bleed too. I'm like, whatever. And I said, I need another referral. And she wouldn't give it to me. You met my husband. He's a kind man. He went in and asked her. She basically told her she didn't have time for him. And so he came back and said, we need a new doctor. And we found a doctor who saw me the next day. He said, you have to go to OBGYN. I went, it was the week of Christmas, and the week after Christmas, I thought it was good that they hadn't called me. And I get the call and they say, we'd like for you to come in the office. I thought, well, that's good, because they just probably want to go over things with me. And of course, again, because of COVID and most people are pregnant at the office, they wouldn't let John go with me. It was COVID. So I'm sitting there by myself, and I had a wonderful doctor say to me, they took 2 biopsies, and she said, you have cancer. And,
what you don't want to hear. No,
never. But the next, she referred me to an oncologist, and they said they'll call you in a week. Well, I called them that day, and the first thing the nurse said to me, well, if you're going to get cancer, that's the best kind of cancer to get. And I said, oh, well, that's great. What do I know? And my next trip was to Johns Hopkins, and then I went to Duke, that had just transferred to Richmond, Virginia, at Bon Secours. And I liked him a lot better. And he worked with my neurologist because they said that I really needed to wait a year to have surgery because I'd had a stroke. And you have to be at a 30-degree angle on the table, and that they didn't want me to stroke out on the table.
Wow.
And nothing works. So, the odds of me surviving the surgery were risky. And even that day they said, this is risky, that. And I said, I'm willing to take the risk. And I think my doctor, my oncologist surgeon, he was more proud even than I was. He said, and I had a huge X across my face where they taped it. They had 2 anesthesiologists with me. And, the only thing I kept saying is, did you get it? And they said, we got it. He said, we have to wait for the pathology report, to find out, what grade it is. And And when I got home, it was about a week later, I got the report, and it's a happy time, but I didn't know anything about a stroke, and I've learned to be your advocate. Being your own advocate is definitely a priority, and being positive and asking, not afraid to ask stupid questions is what I say. I always say, I want a shirt that says, I'm not stupid, I had a stroke. Because people act as though if I talk slow or I can't remember the word, maybe I'm on something or I'm drunk but it's ironic how much you learn and how quickly. And one of the things my neurologist said is, you were given two gifts with the stroke. One is the use of your language and your cognitive skills. He said, but the greatest gift was your memory didn't go. And that I'm really grateful for. My friends, they play games with me. They ask me questions, and, they're like, you remember what you ate in third grade, and, but I need that. My friends are my greatest advocate, as well as my husband. But, I've learned to speak up, where before I'd always say, I'm sorry. I was the introvert personally, but the extrovert professionally. And so now maybe it's the other way around, because I'm not out there in the world.
But it sounds like, I do want to say, John, what a great advocate about the ambulance for you. And that was just great, instead of just the doctors or the nurses blowing it off. Oh, that's the pills we've taken. It's whatever.
Yeah. So. It was a fluke, because we were listening to them, but I said, no, there's something wrong. So I always tell everybody, when they say, I'm so sorry, I feel so bad for you, I say, don't pity me. First, I survived a stroke, but second, I would have never learned I had cancer if I didn't have a stroke. So I'm blessed. And, I'm a great person of faith, and I always say, it's a win-win situation either way, but I want to stay around a little longer. So that's the win I want right now. And I take it as that. So as a blessing. So, my stroke showed me I had cancer, but it's not a trip I want to take again.
No, not at all.
No, I'll hang out with all you, but I needed every one of you. I needed a group that I fit into, because my friends don't understand when I talk slower, or that I can't drive quite yet. I have video of me driving the golf cart. I have video of me trying. I can get in a car quite fine, but we've taken a couple trips and they haven't been comfortable, and nobody understands even what it feels like to sit somewhere. We're going to a restaurant. Now, you don't always fit in these places. It's not all. I'm a little upset with like TJ Maxx and places. Yeah, that it's not all handicap accessible, as they say.
Exactly. I could probably answer this question, or I can answer this question. First of all, with all the people here that are commenting, everything, thank you guys for all commenting, asking questions. But like you said, people don't understand, but everybody in the community of stroke, we understand. We understand each other, what we're going through, and that's why you found this group, and you probably would get a lot of friend requests. So if you got a lot. I
hope so.
If you guys out there, if you're gonna friend request, Elizabeth, say where you saw it, because there's a lot of people out there in the world that are, I say that to everybody, just because you don't know who's scammers or whatever, but you're right. I'm so glad that you're. Yeah.
Well, I watched, for the last 2 years, I've been a bystander, kind of watching each one of you and your journey and your story, but I didn't know where I'd been, and I said, I was explaining that to my husband yesterday. I said, they have happy hours, and I sit and I smile, and, they laugh at what's happened to them in their life. They've found humor. And I said, but I sit in the house and my friends come and expect me to be the old me. And, I want to be, but I'm not yet. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was going to ask you.
There'll be
Is
more.
Yeah. Yes, Mike says he'll be your friend. Mike's from South Wales, United Kingdom out there.
Wow, Mike, thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people from
And
all across,
Lynette and my
literally.
friends.
Yeah, nice. This is that's right, Mike. We are all unique. But the thing is, I know the answers to this, but when you go, like you just said, TJ Maxx or wherever you're going to go, do you plan, like, okay, like you said, your friends don't understand this. Okay, I've got to go down the street. If there's any kind of rocks in the road, or if there's, I have to think, is there another, if we're going to get there, is there going to be a lot of people? And do you plan like that? If you're going to go somewhere?
Overplan, OCD, to the point of OCD. It's like, I have the baggie. We just looked in a bag before this, I've got my water bottle, I've got this, I've got that, and I keep hitting the desk, sorry. And, I overthink, and then I also, which is, I don't know if this is odd to you all or not. I hope it's not. But I also want to know where the nearest hospital is. I don't want to be anywhere where where I go through what I went through again.
Absolutely.
Because, a knowledgeable hospital with a knowledgeable doctor would have given me the shot. And I was in a place where they had a hospital, but the nurses and the doctor didn't see a stroke. It's kind of scary because I'm not a doctor and now I know the signs of a stroke. I would have given that person, a CAT scan pretty quickly. And a shot would have, reversed it, I guess, from what I've been told.
You're right. Within ischemic stroke, I know this, I don't know, well, obviously I'm not a doctor, but if you get it within a certain amount of hours, that shot will dissolve it or reverse that.
Yeah. And it could. I mean, maybe mine would have stayed. I don't know, but it's one of those things where the neurologist at the trauma unit, she was actually angry that they let me lay there, and I do remember that, and I actually had a happen a few weeks ago where we called 911 and I went in and we thought I was having a second stroke, and I had to have the CT scan again and everything. And it ended up being a very serious sinus infection. But I had to stay at the hospital for 2 days. And they said, but you did the right thing by calling, because my face was numb. And I started panicking. And, I felt like my hand was getting numb, but it was just anxiety. And that's been my second call, and, thank goodness it wasn't a stroke, but I didn't take a chance. I just said,
good for you.
Let's pay now.
Exactly. Just not change the subject. Lynette saying, I'll be happy to be your friend. But yeah, you're right.
Thank you. And Lynette is my friend, and she's from the state that I grew up in. So she's from West Virginia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gail, thank you.
Yeah, I get distracted a lot just because of the comments are so, people understand what we're going through. So you said your right side, like mine, is affected.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of movement do you have on your upper extremity?
My arm, I've got, shoulder. I can squeeze my hand. I can't bring it out. I have, my thumb has started to move, where I can move it in and out. And my occupational therapist, they don't want me to get too hopeful. which I find mind-boggling. It's like, that may be a reaction to this, but when I lay on my back, I can actually lift my arm up and back, and I keep telling my
Right.
husband, put a weight on that. Let me have resistance. I grew
Yeah.
up a gymnast, so I'm used to taping things up and going
Yeah.
back to work, and they on a TENS machine and be done with me. And so, it's just not good enough. And so
No.
we're going to
I've been through it
advocate
all.
for, yeah.
Yeah.
And, it will, as I said to my husband, I was told from the very beginning, your arm tends to be the last thing that comes back. Everything else you can practice with. But the
Right.
arm is a funny thing. It's like it's in stages. And so,
Right.
I've had braces. I've more DAP tape than anybody that I know. Squeeze balls, equipment.
Good for you to do that, though. I mean,
Yeah,
you're not giving up. You're doing that.
no,
And
no,
we also, right, we talked about can you myoma there
yes,
regarding
the
the
myoma.
the MyoPro, which is I'm actually going through the motions trying to get that. So that
Well, and I think motion is important because, I
yeah,
watched the video and I saw her do the trash can in my home. That's a big deal. And I said, my husband, look at this. And he watched it and he said, we're getting that, and we had another company, and it didn't do much for me. They were helpful, they were encouraging, but it didn't give me the movement of the arm. It gave
right.
me more in the wrist, and
Yep,
I can lift my wrist a little now. So,
good for
good for
you.
that. But I need an arm.
Yeah, yeah, the
I
arm
need
kind of helps.
fingers, I think.
Yeah, those fine motor skills are just a tough deal to you know because same thing. These little things, and I've held up with the other arm, but it's
Yeah.
tough.
I just got, the limp hand that can squeeze, and
Okay,
then
that's good.
yeah,
I
and
love
then the
it.
thumb's starting to go in and out. But
Right?
you know, when I lay down a lot and lift it up and like do the motions, and I'm amazed at what I can do with that, but I can't go around life laying down. So, I've got to, I don't know, get
Yeah,
get moving forward. But it
exactly.
takes time, and
Yeah,
I'm not a patient person, so I'm usually like, well, okay, do it over and over and over and over again. You'll get that way. And that comes from
exactly.
my youth. But this one I probably haven't been as patient with, which,
Yeah,
I need to
but
work on.
yeah. No, I agree. Now, Linda is asking. Now, I know about this. Have you ever done mirror therapy? Mirror therapy?
I actually, that's a great question, and it's kind of funny in my say. I suggested mirror therapy to my occupational therapist, who was too busy eating candy out of the Halloween bowl during. She comes back the next day with a cardboard box with a mirror taped to it, and tries to get me doing mirror therapy. Well, we had already ordered one off of Amazon, and my
Right.
husband says, "Well, we have one here," and that is actually what got my hand movement doing that. And she started crying when it happened. She was like, I have a tendency not to breathe when I'm doing exercise, like I hold and then push, and she goes,
Understand?
breathe, 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 and I'm breathing, and I'm like, is it moving? And she's like, and she's just started crying. She's like, you
Oh,
did it, but she told me, she said, so many different customers or clients, that we don't have everything for everybody. So we tell us what you need, we'll buy it for me. And the mirror therapy is what helped my hand be able to move itself, and it can, the wrist movement there.
yeah.
So yes, that does work, and I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, it is amazing. Yeah, 'cause I've done that too, and we've all. It sounds like you're trying all the tools in the tool bag to whatever we can get the movement and get
Yeah,
back to freedom. I guess you'd say. I
we
don't know, but
we get lots of odd packages at our house now. Knows what they
Right.
are, and then my friends get to see it on Facebook. I say, "Look what I got today," and the spring hand movement, you name it. But as I said, I have a lot of childhood friends, that we haven't seen each other in years. That send me Wonder Woman cups or whatever, and they have just been such an encouragement. But it's the stroke community that I think is so important when you've had a stroke, because you don't heal overnight, and you're not going to heal overnight. It may be weeks, months. Some have been very lucky and are back to normal, in a few weeks or months. But I think the majority of us aren't. We have a way to go, and we're on it together.
Yeah, exactly. We're all on this journey together. Every story is unique, a little different, but we all understand what we're going through. Not 100%, but thank you, Chandra.
And I see other people that don't breathe either.
Oh, that's it. Exactly.
Thank you, Linda.
Does your therapist also say, yeah, this is great. But they tell you that speed is not your friend? Your physical therapist ever say that? Speed is not your friend.
Yeah.
Walk in or something.
It's stinking thinking, I think, I don't know if it was Paul or you or Salud said, the one that I use all the time is stroke or not, it's not for the weak. I say that to my husband all the time. I said, strokes are not for the weak. And I remember hearing you very early on in my journey talk about, falling. And every time somebody tried to get me up walking and everything, I said, you better not let me fall, and they said, you're going to fall. Right. You're going to fall. And I don't want to, but I've only had 2 major falls. And one we had to call the fire department on. It was pretty embarrassing, but they got me up. And the second one was we decided to go to Florida, and I got the wheelchair, and the wheelchair wasn't locked, shot from under me. And luckily the concierge was an EMT. So we didn't miss. I was a little bruised that week, but no broken bones or anything of that sort. Wow. But it's scary when that happens. And again, friends don't always understand that too. Yeah. Community does.
Exactly. Yeah, it is crazy. Like you said, into a restaurant. I went once and I tripped over the stairs and fell. I'm sure everybody thought I was drunk, but there was a nurse there, and she could tell the way I was walking, swinging my leg out and like a penguin.
Right.
So they understand, and I recommend don't break your hip like I did.
Yeah. I remember you saying that. I didn't want to remind you of it, but I've told my husband, I said, he broke his hip, and that's why I always say, keep me here, steps in our outdoor property. And, when I'm at the grocery store, I try to use the cart as an exercise where I park it kind of a little bit in the middle and get off and walk to the aisle to get my things. And my PT that I love so much saw me doing that, and she started crying. She was in there shopping that night. But I had one lady one time push me out of the aisle to get her peas. And she said, could you just hand me some peas? And you could hear me from here to China. I said, no, I can't. And I said, they're paralyzed on my arm. I can't hand you peas. I'm trying to reach my own right now. And there was a man standing there, and he started applauding. And he said, that woman needed to hear that. He said, because I saw you doing something that was brave. And he said, I saw her doing something that was very narcissistic. And he said, and you spoke up for yourself. And I usually don't. I usually say, I'm sorry, let me get out of the way. And my husband says, you apologize way too much to people for not having full capability of your body. And you do that. But I end up doing that a lot these days.
And people say, how do you respond when someone says, if you tell them, oh, I had a stroke, and they say, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I say, please don't feel sorry for me. Please, I'm blessed. I survived. Like, do you know how many people don't survive a stroke? Do you know what the statistics are? And then they're sorry that they said they're sorry, because they get the whole, I'm on my podium at that point in time. And my husband said, and a lot of people I've had, like when we're in medical equipment places,
right,
will be there, and they'll say, you had a stroke, because I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm having a conversation, and I'm sharing my story, and they go, you don't look like someone that had a stroke. And I'm like, what does someone that look like I didn't talk this way before. I didn't slur, I drink with a straw now, because my coffee mugs, the water goes down here. And so, it's like, what does a person look like that has a stroke? But I'm proud of every person in this group,
right,
and I'm to everyone too, because I need to be part of something. And, as I wrote to Salud the other night, I said, I've just hidden away, kind of watching for a couple of years. And here I am. Take me, please. I'll pay the dues. I'm just so grateful. I see, I'm not used to the comments, but I see Gail and Stephen and Salud and Bruce and Vanessa.
Yeah.
And Salud. And I thank you so much.
I'm glad you see them. And I see him, I had to bring it up. I embarrass my wife often because I'm quick to tell people to piss off. I had to bring that one out there.
That's my husband. My husband says, push him with the cart, hit him. And I go, this isn't like, world wrestling. This is trying to get a loaf of bread at the grocery store and change my lifestyle in eating, because, a lot of people lose weight after a stroke, but because of the cancer, I gained weight. And then the chemo and the hormonal therapy, people with anorexia, so they'll gain weight.
Right.
So 80 to 100 pounds later, here I am. And so I'm not used to being, as heavy. So that's starting to come off. But that was a challenge too, that, you're in a body that you're not used to anymore.
Yeah, we can't work out like we used to. And
it's the new me.
Yeah, but grateful that you're alive, you're cancer free, and you're still working real hard, to rebuild your life. I would say, but which is great.
I have well, thank you. My mother always expected perfection, and I have to remind her at times that skinny people die too. When she says, you've got to lose that weight quickly, and I'm like, thin people have strokes. Children have strokes now. Like Justin Bieber's wife had a stroke. There was an article NPR just put on this week about how many young people are having strokes nowadays. And, I think, it's kind of something that, not just in America, but the world should be educated. Anyone can have a stroke.
Oh, absolutely. Every 40 seconds, someone has a stroke in the United States. The statistics are crazy. I see these comments. Yes, Stephen sent you a friend request. Mike Peters, nice to see all of you guys. This is great.
Thank you.
Strokes are, and I'm the one that I say that all the time. Stroke is not for the weak.
Yes.
So.
And I use your saying. I do, because it's not. It's especially mentally. It's affected me mentally when I'm not busy and I'm not keeping myself busy. And especially my grandparents had Alzheimer's, and they have something called, when the sun goes down. It's interesting, when the sun goes down for me, I get a little agitated. I'm like, okay, turn the TV on, do something, and but I live with speakers on my ears most of the time, listening to relaxation tapes and hypnotic tapes to relax me. And so I've just have kind of switched my life from fast paced to slow paced, and
Right.
you know, telling people I tell there's not here anymore, because they used to
Right.
call our house. I used to have a very pretty soft voice, and they'd say, "Oh, is your mother there?" And I'd go, "No, I am. I am the like I'm. I don't have children, but I am the mother." And
Right.
and now my voice is raspy. It's slurred at times, and I forget words at times. So
Understand.
now I have the privilege of saying I'm the head of the household.
Absolutely.
I don't have a child, but it matured with the stroke.
Right. Exactly. Now, Vanessa's asking a couple questions. Uh, when did you have your stroke, and do you have anxiety?
I have terrible anxiety. I had my stroke on June 5th, 2020. And I had anxiety stroke, but my anxiety hit the charts during my stay at rehab. It was horrible, and we have it. It's still there,
Yeah.
and uh, and just recently, in like the last 2 or 3, probably, or maybe month, I've started feeling what I consider depressed. Not all the time, but clinically depressed. I don't feel sorry for myself. I'm not sad, but I have those moments of, well, what if, or what's next, or, where that's not me. I'm a very positive person. And so I brought that to the attention of my doctors, and, they've given me free samples of stuff that, my pharmacist says don't do. But anxiety, I think, at least variance, is part of having recovery in a stroke. You're
Yeah.
embarrassed of it. It comes up at inopportune times, but it's there, and you have to work through it. I listen to a lot of tapes on it, and lucky for me, because I had anxiety most of my life, I know, like, biofeedback, breathing exercises. There's so many things that can help a panic attack. And oddly enough, and maybe I shouldn't mention her name, but um, why no? Why can't I think of her name? The Judd, from the Judds, the
Oh,
country singers, Naomi Judd. She
actually,
just wrote a
oh,
book years ago about anxiety, and she said no one ever died from an anxiety attack. And when I heard that, she was being interviewed, and I thought, that's true, because it does leave you in about an hour. It goes away, but you have to get through it.
yes.
And it was years ago, but now my anxiety is back, and it roars. So, I have to work through it. And I think any of us that do, whether pick up the phone or anything.
Right. Right. But I know that keeping yourself busy does help those negative feelings, even though I think we all go through that. And are you on any meds too?
Yeah, I'm on lisinopril. I'm on clopidogrel. I'm on Xanax if needed.
Yeah.
Buspirone, or Buspar, I guess. And then atorvastatin. and that's it. I do,
Yeah.
and I do probiotics, and my vitamins, and and then baby aspirin at night too, at
Yeah.
night. But I'm on a 3-day medication, and then I know this may sound odd. I don't know, but I do my vitals in the morning. I do my
Good for you
vitals every
though.
evening, and my blood pressure is like I think it's been like 113/77, with like a 78 heartbeat for like a year and a half now. So,
Wow.
I worked hard to get there. It wasn't always there. And I also learned something that maybe some of you know, called white coat syndrome.
Oh yeah.
that when I go into a doctor's office, my blood pressure shoots out. And then when I walk out, we take it and it's down to what my normal is.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's crazy. But when I'm in the hospital, I don't have it. So just only at the doctor's office. And I think it's
Yeah.
that anxiety of going in.
Those, yes, I see that. So they're excellent vitals. You're right. Jana, thank you for being here. But yeah, you're right. So what would you tell somebody that's going, what we're going through, or who just had a stroke, because depression is real. And, what would you tell somebody? There are a lot of people that are new.
Yeah, reach out to your friends, reach out to people you trust. Don't worry about being judged. I unfortunately had trauma in my early life, and I was always told that being aware of mental illness, those are the people that are safe. You're gonna get better. You're gonna feel better. It's the ones that are not talking, the ones that are not medicated that you need to worry about, because that's a depression that to a further dark place. And you don't need to suffer. There's medication. You don't need to be embarrassed of telling someone you take it, but you need to have a friend or a group like this where you can feel safe and say, you know what, I'm going through depression. I'm not embarrassed of it. It's clinical. I went through a whole lot before this, and you've kind of earned that right. Anxiety passes, panic attacks pass, PTSD, something that's real to the stroke community. You went through trauma, and it's there. Not everybody gets it. You're lucky. But that too can be worked out. And, pets help tremendously, spouses, your friends. But that is one of the reasons that I'm here today, because, I said to my husband, I've watched these groups. I've watched Jerry. I've watched Salute. I've watched Paul. I've watched Lynette for 2 years. I feel like I'm the sneak in the corner, like watching you all, not saying anything. And I'm a stalker. I really am. And, every once in a while you'd say, are you Liz? Are you Beth? And I said, I like people and I don't even know them. I want to be part of them. And I said, and maybe they don't like me. Maybe they'll kick me out. Who knows? But it's worth a shot, because they know what it's like to go through what I'm going through. And, and we've all had it, there are embarrassing moments to the grocery store, to restaurant. We've all been there. And if you don't say that, you're lying. We've all had it. It's just what it is. And I think I'm glad you have a platform.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so funny. These are going so quickly here. Eric, nice to see you again. But anyway, I was going to say, your pride kind of goes away once you have the stroke. Someone's bathing you, someone's, doing everything for you. And it's great, and at first it's like, oh my gosh. So, everybody knows. So I'm not saying anything anybody does not know.
No.
Right.
No,
you're
not pretty.
But we understand. But exactly. Eric,
it's part of it's acceptance, and and just when it comes to anxiety or depression, reach out. We had a client of mine say to she's a professor of psychiatric medicine, and she said, you do not have to suffer. And telemed is a great avenue now, and it's being used more than ever because of COVID. Telemed's an option too. But I think venues like this, I was having a lot of anxiety this morning before I came on here. Like, am I going to look stupid? What am I going to come out properly? And the truth, what are they going to say? Get her off of the screen, and I even put a towel on the chair. What if I pee? It's just, these are the things that I worry about. You asked about planning, and
yeah.
and I'm really glad I came. I'm glad I showed up for the party because I needed this.
Yeah, I'm very happy about this too. And like Stephen said, you're doing wonderful. And the funny thing is, you heard my intro. I'm mumbling around and forget what I was saying. I mean, so that aphasia, which people think, oh, you don't have it. You don't live my life. I mean, so many times my wife says, what did you say? And I finally give up. Yeah, I don't. It wasn't important, I guess.
And in my home, my husband wears a hearing aid, and he says he can't understand what I'm saying because I have aphasia. But no, it's half the time his hearing aid battery isn't working. So, it's like I get triple the therapy on the words, and it's always words like pool or tube, something that sounds like, it just better. And as I said to you, I've learned that both verbally, in person, and like this, as well as when I write, I duplicate and I repeat myself and I ramble, and then I'm so embarrassed. And I'm at the point that I'm not embarrassed anymore. And last night I read where somebody said, did she actually say she had 2 strokes? And the answer to that question is no, I didn't have 2 strokes. I had 1 stroke in 2 states. I actually typed it, deleted it, or I thought I deleted it, and then I rewrote it again. So no, it was just, it's the aphasia, because aphasia affects people differently.
Yeah, it doesn't affect the intellect, but it just
right.
You probably can't. It's probably upside down.
Yes.
Or from Dr. Broussard. But any last words? I mean, you are wonderful, and there's a lot of people out here I saw that wants to Facebook request you. I think came out wrong.
Oh, thank you for that. My last words are my first words. Thank you for accepting me, because lately I haven't felt like I'm going to be accepted anywhere. This is a stroke cry, by the way. I'm not really crying. It's a stroke emotion. But I'm so grateful that there are people like you, Jerry, Tom, and Salud. I mean, they were my heroes, and Salud still is. And I miss him. I don't see him on much anymore. Lynn, I watch her show at night, and if not for those platforms, there's so much negativity out there that you can find yourself in a group of a lot of whiners, a lot of people that they want to bring you down. And everyone I've seen in this group wants to, hold you up. And I think as humans and as people and my friends in my life, we raise each other up. We don't bring each other down. And, if you're having a bad day, this is the type of, you don't even have to say anything.
Right.
You just have to listen to others. And you all done that for me. So I thank you greatly for 2 years of stalking you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Stephen. Great comment there.
Thank you.
You're right. It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah. And it's great to have an avenue where others share what you have.
Exactly. It really helps me a lot too, to hear other stories too. So that's right, Vanessa. But,
well, you're great at what you do, Gary, and I appreciate the humor you bring to it too.
Oh yeah, I'm real. I'm not trying to, we're not fake. I mean, like you said somewhere, I saw that comment, by the way, with 2-stroke thing. But I can't remember. Sorry, guys, if I messed up. But I heard this. I saw the comment. Did she have 2 strokes? I saw that, but I can't remember. I know it happens to all of us once in a while. what I was going to say, but I appreciate you
I
being
was going
on.
to answer it, but I thought I better not overstep my boundary.
Oh, like you said, it's an open. My world's an open book too. So, so yeah, whatever you want to say,
Well, I
well worth it.
appreciate you allowing me on today, and I appreciate everyone in this group, whether I've met you, talked to you. Marina is also someone who's reached out to me, who lives, less than a half from my home. So, everyone is phenomenal, and I'm very grateful. I don't look as my stroke as being, it's certainly not something I want anyone, but it happened, and now you move forward. We don't go backwards.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thank you, Salute. I appreciate that. Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Says, you see what she says?
Miss Positivity.
Yeah, but it's so good to hear your story. Also, you
yes. Thank you. That's a dear friend of mine's mother that has become my friend, and a great woman that knows what it's like to go through sadness and go backwards. I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Mike, I don't know what you mean. For Elizabeth, what are you making for dinner? Hopefully not.
Nothing, because I can't make anything like I used to. I'm really good, but now, like, my husband's like, don't get near the stove, don't do that. So I say, okay, let's call Bonefish. Let's order out tonight. Like, he really loves Olive Garden. That's good. And we are doing our part in supporting all small business restaurants since my stroke. But I can cut a steak with a pizza cutter. I've learned a lot of tools that work. And how to open a bottle under my arm, and this morning, I've learned a lot of things that I never thought I would have done.
You learn to adapt.
But I'm grateful for my new friends. I'm grateful for future friends. As I said before, the friends and my husband have brought me through it to this point. Because without them, I wouldn't be here. It's easy to give up.
Exactly. And this is pretty awesome. Jerry, nice to see you, by the way. Thank you. You made me feel better. So she does. She makes us all feel better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody. I appreciate everybody here making fun.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm not really used to this. I'm like, who said that? But I really appreciate everyone's comment and anyone that reaches out to me, because stroke place.
Yeah.
Stroke recovery.
Absolutely.
If you.
Yeah, exactly. We never say stroke victim. We're stroke survivors.
Never. I've worked with therapy at Walter Reed Children's Hospital, and I use the word warrior, because you survived, you fought, you're still going to have to fight, and you can't give up. And I used to walk into room, went to the bathroom stalls and cry, and now it's me. And, sometimes I still walk into the bathroom stalls and cry, but it's the stroke. I always have to apologize and say, I'm not really crying. It's from the stroke. It's the emotional part that happens. And that's, it's not depression. It's not sadness. I'm thrilled I'm alive. But
yes, and you're about the crying. My kids, my wife, they all know I cry at the, like a marriage account or anything, a McDonald's commercial, and Dad's crying again. It's like a joke now because I cry at anything. So
yeah, I do too. I'll order something on a menu. My husband says, why are you crying? Did you want something else? I'm like, no, please, I'm just doing this. And like Dawn's video, I mean, if he only knew how much it truly touched me. I've written him back and everything. Play it. I mean, I stalked his video too, because it's so emotional that it can't be anything but positive of
Yep.
you know, he went from this to this, and that's where
Right.
I was in that state. And now I'm moving towards that. And I sometimes watch it just to remind myself. But the minute
Yeah.
that music comes on, I'm in tears. But I'm like, I'm so happy living
Yeah.
his best life, you know, and has
Yeah.
this beautiful family, and so grateful that a stranger at 2:30 in the morning said, you know, God bless you. Out of 10,000 people, you're the one that needed to see that. And I made it my goal that anytime anybody needs help, I don't care if you had a stroke or whatever, you can call me, you can reach out. And I've told my friends, and they do, because they say, well, you understand. And it's maybe it's not that I understand, it's just that I know what it feels like. You know, I'm not a doctor. I am not going to give out medical advice, but I do know what it, and not with the people I grew up with, not with my family, which was, you know, and then to add COVID to this, any of us that are trying to get better during COVID.
Right. Wow.
Stroke is not for the weak. You know, it's just been mind-boggling. So, but you know, I know you said last words. My last words last an hour, and I am so grateful to each and every one of you for being here, because you've helped my life, and I thank you for that.
Good. And you've helped my life. Your story, your positivity. So it's been really great. And John, I know you're around there. He's probably sitting right over there.
Yes.
So, well, good. Well, John, nice to meet you. We'll talk again.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. I'm so grateful. He just said thank you.
Absolutely. I'll try not to cry, but
me too.
Yeah. Thank you, Lynette and Stephen, and everybody else. Have a great rest of your day, and you as well, Elizabeth.
Thank
or Beth,
you.
or whatever.
Thanks, everybody. Whatever. I've been called worse, so I'll take it.